EOS Nation joins Vigor Protocol as custodians, DeFi is heating up on EOS, Wax keeps growing, the race for rares is on, and much more. Hello EOS Nation, I'm Daniel Keys, and this is episode 65 of the EOS Hot Sauce. As always, our spicy weekly updates are available in every format. Watch on YouTube, listen on SoundCloud or your favorite podcast player, or read it at eosnation.io. That's also where you can subscribe to the EOS Nation newsletter to get that spicy sauce poured straight into your inbox. However you prefer it, help spread the sauce by smashing that like, ringing that bell, and giving us a 5-star rating. Let's get to this week's spicy goodness. We're happy to announce that EOS Nation CEO Yves Larose and EOS Nation CTO Denis Carrière have officially been voted in as Vigor DAC custodians. We introduced Vigor to our community a year ago in EOS Hot Sauce number 14. The idea behind the Vigor Protocol seemed wonderful. Build a DeFi crypto lending and borrowing platform designed and controlled by a decentralized autonomous community, or DAC. It caught our attention, and we were eagerly waiting to see how the project would develop. At the same time, our resident DeFi smart contract wizard, Denis Carrière, started looking into the project, grew more interested, and eventually started helping out. Now it's clear to EOS Nation that the Vigor Protocol has the potential to be a shining star in the EOS DeFi landscape. And when Denis' name came up as a potential custodian candidate, he was of course interested in the position. In fact, all of EOS Nation is interested in contributing, and we want to do our part to strengthen the Vigor Protocol. So this week, our CEO, Yves Larose, officially submitted his candidacy to become a Vigor DAC custodian too, which represents the full backing of EOS Nation. We were delighted to see some immediate support and quick approval for his candidacy. Thank you to the Vigor Protocol community for trusting us with your brand and project. We're thrilled and excited to be building EOS DeFi alongside all of you. The Vigor DAC is filled with dynamic members who are committed to innovating in the DeFi space on EOS. For those not yet familiar on the details of the Vigor Protocol, stay tuned to our socials as we'll be sharing more details on the project in the coming days and weeks. For now, here's a quote from longtime contributor and Vigor DAC custodian, Andrew P. Bryant. I'm excited about Vigor because it's a unique and entertaining DeFi crypto lending platform where borrow rates are interactive and responsive. The system solvency changes before your very eyes based on user borrow and lend activity and real-time stress testing. It's built on the EOSIO blockchain, EOS mainnet, so it's extremely fast with zero transaction fees. It's got a financially engineered core written in C++ that focuses on the risk of sudden default. All other stablecoins handwave the issue, but it is paramount to recognize that default risk is the single most important factor. Vigor lending directly addresses capital adequacy and risk budgeting and makes use of product structuring. Also, with Vigor, there's no need to trust any accounting firm about the existence of money in a bank account. Vigor is 100% on-chain, transparent, and autonomous. The VIG token is a pure utility that powers the system and is void of all voting governance rights. Whales are neutered, and governance can be shifted to the users of the token, not the buyers. The destiny of Vigor is to be known as that crypto borrow and lend platform run by its users. Did you get all that? Don't feel bad if you didn't, it's a lot to take in. For more details about the Vigor Protocol, users are invited to visit the Vigor documentation website, which contains information that ranges from the Vigor Protocol technical white paper to simpler explanations, such as the breakdown of the various use cases of the Vigor DeFi platform. There are many different flavors of DeFi currently getting a lot of attention across the entire crypto space. We think that Vigor DAC's unique structure and value proposition will allow it to stand out in the ever-crowded space while at the same time showcasing the power and potential of the EOS mainnet. Sounds like a winning combination to us. Thank you Vigor DAC for welcoming us into your community. We're honored and excited to be here. Speaking of DeFi on EOS, have you noticed how much it's heating up? Although it's still very early in the adoption cycle, it's clear that decentralized finance can and will flourish across multiple public blockchains, which means it will be difficult for any particular blockchain to gain a monopoly advantage. Sure, Ethereum fanboys will be likely to object to this sentiment, but the truth is that their blockchain is not performant enough for all the users interested in DeFi. Ethereum transaction fees have been rising significantly, while scalability upgrades have been delayed. What we've seen in the last few weeks is a wave of investment capital being deployed in DeFi projects across many different public blockchain networks. Game theory would suggest that there are a few key things people are looking for when using DeFi. First, incentives. They want the lowest transaction fees and the best interest rate as a lender or borrower, plus bonuses such as valuable governance tokens. Secondly, security. Users need a platform with robust bug-free code sufficiently decentralized to ensure that funds can't be confiscated by a central third party. And finally, liquidity. High liquidity on the over-collateralized asset increases confidence that no price manipulations could force a liquidation. When monopolies exist, new players in the industry must offer significant advantages and benefits to overcome the many legal and natural barriers to entry that make monopolies possible. On the other hand, when monopolies don't exist and customers can easily move from one service provider to another, incremental advantages can be enough to attract customers away from a competitor. The process of using Bitcoin on other blockchain networks is becoming easier and simpler every day. There are so many ways to move your crypto these days. Centralized exchanges like Binance, Bitfinex, and Huobi are still very popular, but atomic swaps and cross-chain decentralized interoperability solutions like Bancor are removing friction from the process and even adding anonymity in some cases. It's clear to us that we'll see DeFi across multiple blockchains and will likely therefore not see a monopoly effect on any given one. Which brings us to EOS. The on and off ramps for acquiring EOS and using the EOS blockchain are expanding. Block.one remains committed to working with the EOS community and, as we can see from recent tweets from Brendan Bloomer, Block.one fully believes that the EOS mainnet can and will be a fantastic home from all sorts of DeFi applications. Many DeFi apps are already built on EOS, and recently it seems that new EOS DeFi projects are popping up every week. EOS offers the most competitive incentives and cost structures, sufficient security, and very high liquidity, and we firmly believe this will lead to an influx of new users. In fact, we reached out to some popular EOS ecosystem wallets, and they reported seeing a recent 20 to 50% uptick in daily active users, which has been driven mostly by an increase in DeFi app usage. The future of EOS DeFi is bright, and we're excited to be part of it. Up next, we've got a whole pile of news from the world of Wax. There was so much Wax goodness last week that we forgot to mention in our last episode that Frederic Chesnes, CEO of Atari, was added to the Wax Advisory Council. Atari is legendary in the world of video games, and this news brought back some fond memories of gaming in the 1980s. According to a recent Cointelegraph article, Atari is really into blockchain, and we're excited to have them join the Wax ecosystem. And this week, the Wax Advisory Council brought on Yat Su, the founder and chairman of Animoca Brands. Animoca is a huge player in the world of VR and are currently working with most major VR brands and products out there. To learn more about Animoca, we recommend listening to an excellent Layer 1 podcast interview from last month. We can already picture our NFT collections posted up as art pieces in VR, can you? And finally, to round out the Wax Advisory Council news, we've had confirmation in the Wax Telegram channel that Capcom will be releasing a Street Fighter NFT series. Not much is known yet beyond that, but it hasn't stopped community members from already creating the Street Fighter NFTs Telegram chat for fun and speculation. Tops is another big name in the Wax NFT game. If you've been following the EOS hot sauce, you already know all about them. But if you'd like to get more visibility into the thought process over at Tops, check out the interview by Anders from Wax Sweden with Tobin Lent, the VP of Tops Digital. It includes an amazing history of creating games and much more. He's the guy that brought Garbage Pail Kids to our ecosystem. Are you feeling that NFT FOMO yet? Thankfully, Wax and many community members are doing promos and giving you chances to win more cards for free. Show off your collection on Twitter for a chance to win even more NFTs. EOS Nation is also giving away NFTs every week in our recently announced Wax Stacks League Season 1 Race for Rares. This competition is free to enter and will see EOS Nation distributing over $1,000 worth of Wax, NFTs, and other prizes. Make sure to sign up to be eligible to win Season 1 prizes at eosnation.io/spicy, and then show up every Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the YouTube premiere of the EOS Hot Sauce to compete in the Race for Rares. Are you more interested in building than collecting? Well, the Wax Community Labs has some great news for you. The community has listed 10 ideas that are likely to get approved for funding by this worker proposal system. Think you can build them? Submit your application directly on the Wax Community Lab. And we've got another exciting NFT update coming from the Atomic Asset Standard. You can now make two-sided NFTs. Other features in the update include NFTs will now show the mint number in the top right corner, sort sales by mint number, market collection filter is now sorted by volume, more details when selecting items for trade, and filter your inventory for duplicates and hide blacklisted NFTs by default. And finally, congratulations to all 38 active and standby Wax guilds that passed the minimum OIG requirements for July. EOS Nation is proud to have ranked third this month with Pink Network and Wax Sweden rounding out the top 3. The Wax guild competition is heating up, which means the ecosystem is growing stronger and more competitive. Let's go Wax! Speaking of Wax, it's time to race for rares. If you're joining us live for the YouTube premiere of this episode, type Spicy Rare in the live chat for a chance to win one of 5 Spicy Rare NFTs. and guess the length of this episode to win a Garbage Pail Kids exotic card pack. You've got 2 minutes starting now. Good luck, and don't forget you need to sign up to be eligible at eosnation.io/spicy. Next up, we've got some news from China. The Chinese BSN is trailblazing ahead in the global race for the adoption of blockchain technology and has selected 6 public blockchains to be connected to their network of nodes. EOS was already announced to be one of those blockchains in April, and we're happy to see this confirmed with additional details in a recent article on CoinDesk. Yifan He, CEO of Beijing Red Date Technology, one of the founding companies behind BSN, was quoted, "The move is a milestone as BSN is the first state-backed blockchain infrastructure that is reaching developer communities outside China by integrating with major public chains." Though not a blockchain itself, the BSN provides an important piece of infrastructure for the multi-chain future by allowing developers to create interoperable applications on top of their services, similar to a cloud service for blockchains. In this context, our friends at Defuse also had a reason to celebrate. They partnered with BSN to provide API services for EOS and Ethereum as an opt-in solution for the developers. Alexandre Bouget, CTO and co-founder of Defuse, gave us the following quote. "BSN was looking for the most performant and easy-to-use solution to enable all kinds of enterprises to leverage the advantages of blockchain. And since the beginning of the company, we have been laser-focused on building exactly that. Every part of Defuse has been designed for massively parallel operations, which enables unprecedented levels of performance, such as full history reprocessing of large networks in under an hour. This is extremely meaningful to an infrastructure provider like BSN. Judging from that, it's clear that Defuse will play a major role in the future and that an increasing number of developers will start to utilize it. To cater to their needs, the Defuse team created community.defuse.io, where anyone can start a topic and get answers from other users and Defuse team members in a more asynchronous manner. We suggest the general community guidelines and a README post to get started. Now let's move on to some insights on blockchain interoperability from Block.one. Bart Wyatt, Director of Solutions Architecture at Block.one, published a great article on Cointelegraph headlined, "Why Interoperability is the Key to Future Innovation and Adoption." He demonstrates how cross-chain functionalities give developers the flexibility they need to create decentralized applications for a mass market so that society can finally utilize the benefits that blockchain technologies have to offer. As an example, he points out how interconnected supply chain management solutions based on blockchains would be a huge improvement over our fragmented and inefficient supply chains, especially in times of constraint like our current COVID-19 outbreak. Another key takeaway from the article is that ideological separations must be tackled in addition to the technological hurdles. He had good things to say about Talos, especially regarding their effort to offer drop-in support for Ethereum-based applications using EOSIO.EVM by Syed Jeffrey. Here's a quote from Wyatt. "We built the EOSIO protocol with the intent of creating a community of thousands of blockchains that put developers first. That's why we open source our protocol, and it's why we've continued to make tools and upgrades to improve the whole ecosystem." As a public EOSIO implementation, Talos is exactly that kind of community-realized project that we intended to foster. This broader goal of community-centric innovation is why we issued the EOSIO challenge. We want developers to push the boundaries of EOSIO and build applications that we may not have developed ourselves. Speaking of Talos, the Evolution Dex by EOS Argentina is coming to Talos, allowing anyone to create and launch their own trading pairs on decentralized exchanges. Jesus Chidi, co-founder of EOS Argentina, had this to say. Evolution Dex can help bring more users as liquidity providers into the Talos DeFi ecosystem. It will also attract traders who arbitrage trading pairs, bringing increased stability and volume to the Talos token itself, while reducing volatility and fees across the board. And Talos had another success to report, as the network will be used for tracking the premium ciders out of Spain. Consumers will be able to trace the origins of each bottle of cider by scanning a QR code with the Cidra app to verify it's legitimate under Spanish regulations and not counterfeit or made with imported apples. Up next, the wait for voice will soon be over and the momentum keeps growing. The Android version of the Voice mobile app launched this week along with a new human sign-up verification process that no longer requires a government-issued document such as a passport or driver's license. The requirement to provide a government ID during the sign-up process was one of Voice's biggest criticisms during its closed beta. New users won't need to go through that. One of our developers working on EOS Nation, John Williamson, just received his official invite to join Voice beta and has been enjoying the experience so far. He lives in Australia and was able to try the KYC-free verification system to join Voice. Here's what he had to say about it. The Voice onboarding experience was really easy with the new selfie system, and investing your Voice tokens get addicting. It's great to see the Voice team taking user feedback seriously and including them in the development process. To channel these discussions, they introduced the What's Up series, where different elements of the platform can be discussed, so they can be built accordingly. In this regard, Voice already does a lot of things differently and better than existing social media platforms. The recent hack of user accounts on Twitter also gave proponents of Voice a great opportunity to showcase the improvements that Voice has to offer. Early on, before the hack, Dan Larimer himself already warned about the security flaws of centralized password management and predicted that such a hack would occur eventually. Well, he was right, and the writing's on the wall. It's time for a better, fairer, and more secure social media. Voice CEO Sala Zalatima also continues to engage in the public discussion, and in his newest piece on Voice, he explains why the Facebook boycott isn't enough. He writes, "So while Facebook scrambles to extinguish their long-time coming PR dumpster fire, we're building a platform that stops hate speech where it starts, with malicious users." Now, one could say that Sala is probably a bit too biased to objectively judge Facebook. But even long-term Facebook employees such as Max Wang came forward to express concerns. "We are failing," he said, criticizing Facebook's leaders for catering to political concerns at the expense of real-world harm. And what's worse, we have enshrined that failure in our policies. Meanwhile, the community is wondering how Voice will position itself in the current landscape of social media applications. Coolwave Capital put together a great summary of different opinions. What's yours? Let us know in the comments. And make sure to check your inbox, as registered users received an email from Voice where you'll find a link to register to become a feature tester for Voice. Participation in the testing might increase your chances to get an invitation sooner. By the way, did you see the logo for Brock Pierce's presidential campaign? Looks familiar, right? Crystal Rose Pierce, Brock's wife and SenseChat CEO, also made a strong case for blockchain-based social media in a great live stream with one of crypto YouTube's finest, Naomi Rockwell. You can find that linked in the written version of this episode. On an unrelated note, you can also find a great video walkthrough by Huddle EOS of our X Nation liquidity pool there. We've embedded it right into the written edition, so check it out at EOSNation.io while you're digging through all the other resources I've mentioned in this episode. And now for some good news for EMT holders. The Emanate dashboard is back up, which allows staking of EMT for a 0.5% bonus paid weekly. That's more than 29% in a year. Not bad. We also very much like their new slogan, DeFi meets Hi-Fi. Well played, Emanate. Well played. And the discussion app has a new feature, blogs. Just click on your profile in the Discussions app and it will be right there. While the platform was previously strictly organized by specific topics sorted by tags, the blog feature allows us to post content on individual topics. Check it out and maybe earn some Atmos tokens with a great blog post. Joining the EOS ecosystem just got a little bit easier for US citizens. They can now buy EOS with debit, credit, bank transfer, or crypto on Uphold. With larger fintech players like PayPal and Venmo announcing their support for cryptocurrencies, it may be a smart move by Uphold to attract some early birds. Let's move on now to some insights from Greymass. We're big fans of the work they do in the EOSIO ecosystem and their flagship product, the Anchor Wallet. So we encourage you to check out the roadmap that the team recently published, as it does a great job outlining their motivation and mission. The roadmap is separated into 3 segments: how a user can securely perform actions using the blockchain, how applications can request specific actions of their users, and how users and applications can access the blockchain. It's an interesting insight into what drives an awesome ESBP team. And let's wrap this week's episode up with a great way to dip your toes into BossCore. In part 4 of their 6-part series titled How to Get Started with BossCore, you can learn about staking and DeFi on BossCore. If you're new to BP voting, Rex, or EOSIO wallets, this might be a good Kickstarter. Or maybe you just want a shot at their juicy giveaway of 90,000 Boss tokens. And that's all for this week's episode of EOS Hot Sauce. We've got more spicy goodness for you every week, so subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned for the next one. And if you can't wait till next week, find our previous episodes at EOSNation.io or on our YouTube channel. Once again, I'm your host, Daniel Keys, and we'll see you again next week. Until then, let's keep it spicy.